Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1 of The Alliance. I'm joined with my co host Noah Weinraub. And Noah, we got a lot to talk about today.
We
Starting
do.
off, we got the Gators. They're national champs. The Gator boys stay hot. We just won March Madness. Me
Yeah.
being a Florida fan, I'm very excited. Noah, what are your initial thoughts?
I texted you this earlier, like right after they won initially. My comparison to it from a neutral standpoint is like the Chiefs and Walter Clayton's like Mahomes. Like it doesn't matter how bad he plays or how bad the team plays. Like at halftime against Houston, Clayton had zero, and I don't remember how much he ended up with, but he was huge down the stretch. Doesn't matter how it looks, all tournament long, they found a way. Against UConn, they were trailing for the majority. Against Maryland, even like some points in that game, it was close for a while, but they pulled away
Yeah,
at the end. Texas Tech, obviously, they're around 9 with like a minute and a half left, 2 minutes left. And then Auburn, it was back and forth. And Houston, they were down, 10 with like 12 minutes left. Like it was
yeah,
all tournament long, just overcoming everything. Every game, it's like, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, Florida's losing it. They can't keep their devil magic going.
yeah,
Like they were clearly the best team. They had the toughest region, in my opinion, when we first got the bracket. I feel
for
like Tech
sure.
should have been higher than a 3 seed, Maryland higher than a 4, and Arkansas was definitely the best, highest seed. They a couple minutes away from making the Elite Eight. Just a tough region all around, and then obviously the toughest Final Four arguably ever, and they just found a way.
Yeah, like you said with the Mahomes Chiefs comparison, also like vintage Brady and the Chiefs,
Yeah,
like if you divided college basketball into 4 quarters, you could call the Gators a fourth quarter team for sure. The first
for
half,
sure.
since the Sweet 16, the first, or even the round of 32, the Gators looked like we weren't a national championship team for the first
Yeah,
20-25 minutes of the game. And then those final 15-10 minutes, Walter Clayton and the guys for
yeah,
Florida just turned up and, you know, like Walter, I mean, we all know what Walter did, but I think the main thing that helped Florida was the bench depth. Thomas Hauk off the bench, Denzel Aberdeen coming up clutch, had a few
yeah.
clutch free throws down the stretch against Houston, but
Mm.
also like our starters like A. Martin, Will Richard, those guys came in clutch. So there were some games where Will struggled and A. Mart kept it going and like stepped up his game. And then the games A. Mart struggled, Richard stepped up his game. Like we saw the first half against Houston, he
Yeah.
was really the only scorer for us for that
Mm.
entire first half. Had three pointers made in the first half, and he was doing really good when Amart was struggling. And then like the Final Four and Elite Eight, Will was struggling bad, but Amart had some clutch dunks, some
Yeah.
clutch threes, which really brought the team up.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the Elijah Martin because he's been on teams with that run. Like 2 years ago, the FAU team
Yeah,
obviously NC making the Final Four, shot away from making the championship. They wouldn't have beaten UConn, but still, it's crazy.
yeah,
I mean, they had to run into Northwestern last year, but obviously just a proven winner. And I feel like that was a huge underrated transfer because everybody's going to talk about Clayton, but nobody's going to talk about those guys outside of Florida fans. So
yeah, definitely. And like I said, I mean, I've loved Thomas Hauk. His
yeah.
tournament run, like everyone's going to talk about Walter, like his clutch three against Texas Tech,
Mm.
but people forget when we were down 9, Thomas hit back-to-back threes to make it a
Mm.
three-point game, which led to Walt hitting that game-tying three, which I
Yeah.
think Thomas is going to get way underlooked, but he was probably our second most influential player
Yeah.
besides Walter.
And Walter now also like that run has gotten him into draft stocks. Now he's in the middle to late first round in most NBA mock drafts that we're seeing. And I feel like this tournament was huge for him, like a fifth year senior. Obviously he was great all year, but like he stepped up big, like we said before. And then also props to Todd Golden. I mean everything before the season with all the allegations and stuff. Proven best coach in the country this year. And one of the youngest too. Just
Yeah, for sure. And in his 30s, looking like
yeah.
a veteran coach already, like his poise
Yeah.
on the court, his control of the team, bringing the
Yeah.
vibes up for everyone. I think that played a huge role for the Gators. But
Also, I
let's
feel
not
like
take
look, yeah.
let's not take
Also,
anything away from the Houston Cougars because
mm,
like
yeah,
their win against Purdue, great play called up by Kelvin Sampson to win the
amazing
game.
play,
I mean, the Tennessee game, absolute domination,
domination. Yeah,
like nothing you can say about that. And then coming back against arguably a top 5 greatest roster built of all time in
Yeah,
college basketball, and Duke, like no one could do that. Everyone
yeah,
thought Houston was down and out when they were down so much, like with only 4 minutes left to go, and Duke kind of showed their
yeah.
immaturity, their inexperience in March as they have a lot of young guys, and Houston crawled back, and that was it.
Yeah, I feel like also going on the Houston, this was the second time they pulled off a major comeback, like against Kansas at Kansas, one of the toughest places to play. In January, they're down by 6 with 15 seconds left.
Yeah,
Hit a three, got a steal, hit a three, and then they won in double overtime. Like, I feel like there's a reason this team, if you've seen all those way too early top 25s, they're at the top. Just a great culture. I mean, it sucks that they had to run into Florida, and they had that game won for most of the game, just
yeah.
running to the Florida Gators. But I feel
I
like next year, if we're looking at an early standpoint, Houston is the top team. They're getting like everybody back. They have
yeah.
arguably, in my opinion, I don't know if a lot of people think this might be a hot take, a top 3 coach in the country in
I
Kelvin
agree.
Sampson. I
Kelvin has done everything right at Houston. Just he
yeah,
hasn't gotten over that hump to win the national championship.
I'd
He
put
he
him.
has the
Yeah,
experience. He's a smart coach. He has control of his players. It he proved that you don't need the 5 stars. You don't
yeah,
need the best
exactly.
transfer class. You can
Mm,
build great rosters with 3-star recruits, 4-star
mm.
recruits, low level transfer guys.
And I feel like I put him right below Hurley and Self as like those proven winners. I
Yeah,
think he's right on that tier
yeah,
with them, and also like everything he did with Houston. Even when they were a team in the AAC, they took him. He took him to a Final Four, and they were a good seed in March like every year. And now in the Big 12, they continue to be that. They've been a 1 seed 3 years in a row, and I thought this was the team. Like once they beat Duke in the way they looked those last 10 minutes against Duke, I definitely thought they were going to beat Florida. But Florida's proving me wrong all tournament. You know that, but yeah,
yeah. Uh, like honestly, I coming from a fan standpoint of Florida, I thought our tournament was over in that Elite Eight against Texas
yeah.
Tech.
So did
I
I.
mean, our the deficit and the time left. You can look at the ESPN probabilities. It was definitely in the
Texas.
high 90% for Texas Tech to win, but the Gator
Yeah,
boys stayed hot.
also Texas Tech. They were coming right off those last 10 minutes against Arkansas, where they
Yeah,
played amazing basketball. Got me excited for. I picked Texas Tech to win in just about every bracket, but
yeah,
that's what running into Florida will do. I feel like in most years that Texas Tech team could definitely go on a championship run, but this year the 1 seeds were just so overly dominant all
yeah.
year. And yeah,
Next, the MLB season just started. Noah, you're a Cubs
yep,
fan. I'm a Rays fan.
hmm
Kind of two different sides of the spectrum for
for
Cubs and
sure.
Rays fans so far this year. What are your first reactions from the MLB season?
The bullpen still the same, but that's arguably like that's one of the only complaints I've had about
Yeah,
this season so far. I mean, looking at it, the schedule's been the hardest out of that any MLB team will have the entire season, according
yeah,
to projected win totals in this April. We've already played the Dodgers. They play them again this weekend. Play the Dodgers. They're playing the Diamondbacks and the Padres and the Rangers and the A's, but just hard all around. And I feel like this group has like the hitting has been there. It's boring hitting, as most people would say. It's just a bunch of walks and stolen bases, but it's electric. And I mean, I went to a game the other night at Wrigley. It was like 30 degrees. It was electric. It
yeah,
was vibes are high all around. And I mean, I feel like this is the most hype a Cubs team has had since 2016. I'm not saying that this team is on the 2016 team's level. It's just the
hmm
hype around the city, like the faith that Cubs fans have after a couple rough years. I mean, they got into that rebuild and now they're at the top. Even though it's a short rebuild, I just hope it pays off. And the big thing right now, the whole city wants, and a lot of the MLB world knows, is Kyle Tucker. The Cubs lost his arbitration case this offseason after trading for him, and
yeah,
um, he only has 1 year left on his contract, so he'll be a free agent this offseason.
yeah,
Biggest thing is just to extend him, but also the other new additions like Ryan Presley hasn't been really good at all, but I still have faith in him. I mean, he's proven that he can be a good closer throughout
Yeah.
his entire MLB career with the Astros. But I'm liking how we look so far. If unrealistic after we already lost both to the Dodgers in Japan, if this team can win a series somehow this weekend against the Dodgers in LA, I'm thinking World Series, even though it's just April.
Yeah, I like what you said about how the Cubs aren't the most exciting team in baseball. They kind of play boring, if you will. Like, you have a guy like PCA who's not going to hit the ball. He's not going to hit
Yeah,
the ball 450 feet. He's going
no,
to hit singles, doubles, and then steal second and third. He's going to play great defense in center field. Like you could say, like your power guys are Kyle Tucker, who has been raking so far, and I think, like you said with the deal, Tucker deserves every penny of
he's
it.
gonna get
The
a
Cubs
bag this
should pay
offseason.
him. The Cubs should pay him north of $400 million, especially after
Yeah,
Vladimir Guerrero Jr. got locked up. He's the number one
yeah,
free agent this offseason.
for sure.
But then, like, you guys have a great pipeline. PCA is coming up for his first full season. He's starting
Mm,
every game. Michael Bush starting every game at first base. I think he's amazing. You have Matt Shaw at third. And then you still have guys in the minors like Cade Horton who's going to come up. He's
yeah,
going to help that pitching a
I'm
lot
excited for
because, like you
him.
said,
Yeah,
that bullpen is that's the only reason you guys aren't
yeah,
9-1, 10-1, like
yeah.
only a one-loss team. It's been Eli Morgan, Ryan Presley, Porter Hodge even
Yeah.
has been looking
Hodge has been
steady.
the best reliever
Yeah,
though, for sure.
Hodge I think has the most hype out of y'all's relievers besides
Yeah,
Presley, who's the closer, just because he's been a prospect and like people have hyped him up while he was in the minors. But I think that Tucker trade was great for y'all. I hate that y'all had to give up Cam Smith, though I'm a big Cam Smith fan. He just has so much raw power. But I
yeah.
think
He was.
Tucker is great for like that 3-hole spot in y'all's lineup. He gives y'all that power that's needed. And then the
Yeah,
rotation, Shota, Justin Steele, even though Justin Steele's on the
yeah,
15-day IL now, that sucks for
yeah.
the team. But Matt Boyd, a very sneaky pickup.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna pay off late in the season. He has been looking good so far. And then you also have guys like Javier Assad who aren't going to blow you away with 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, but they're going to get the job done. They're going to throw
Yeah,
strikes. They're going to get weak contact. And I think that's going to be the Cubs brand of baseball all years. The boring team.
yeah. That's
No one's
also
going to hit
what.
a lot of
Yeah,
bombs.
that's also what Craig Counsell baseball has been with the Brewers. Like,
Yeah.
aside from those a couple Christian Yelich years,
Yeah.
they didn't really have a key superstar, and they still made the playoffs near every
Yeah.
year in the Central. And also, yeah, that 15-day IL for Steele is rough. I would love to see some good starts here from Jamison Tyone. He's going to have a bigger role. Probably be the two pitcher now instead of the three without Steele. And I mean,
Yeah.
he hasn't been good this year, but he was pretty good last year.
Yeah.
And also Dansby Swanson with the torpedo bat's been off to a good start. And like you said, the boring baseball PCA, another guy, sneaky guy, John Birdie. He can get on,
Yes.
steal two bases, and then get home on like a sac fly or something like that. He's
Yeah.
really fast. Could have like a 30, 40 steal season, even
Yeah.
though he plays limited.
We saw like his full potential with the Marlins his last year
Hmm.
before he got traded to the Yankees. He had 45 plus stolen
Yeah,
bases he didn't even play the full 162. He was still
he did.
switching in and out of the lineup. I mean, that guy can steal bags off of the best pitchers in the game.
Yeah,
Like, no one is going to stop him from stealing second. He's going to steal second off the best
yeah.
catchers, JT Real Mutos of the world. He's still going to steal
Hmm.
second off them every time. And another guy I love for the Cubs, Noah, is Nico Horner. Just I love his glove.
Yeah.
He's a platinum glove level
Yeah.
defender. And then if his bat can heat up at some point in the season, I mean, he's a
Hmm.
top tier second baseman in Major League
Yeah.
Baseball. And I like how you mentioned the Dansby Swanson using this torpedo bat. Noah, what are your thoughts on the torpedo bat so far this year?
I mean, there's obviously like I don't see the conflict with it at all. I mean, everybody like I don't see why just everyone would use it. I mean, honestly, there's like some reasons for people to not. But, like it's proven everyone like the Yankees. Forgot how many homers they had opening day weekend, but that was when the whole conflict started, and
Yeah,
they've had the most homers in the league if I'm not mistaken. But like And then we've seen guys like Adley Rutschman used it. He's off to a great start this year. Just guys like that. How about you?
Yeah, I think it's great for baseball. You know, all of
Yeah,
Major League Baseball wants is offense. They want to see the
for
big
sure.
home runs, the long balls that they can post on social media, grab more fans. You know, baseball people say is a dying sport, and to
Mm,
bring people back to baseball is home runs. We saw baseball, arguably the most popular it's ever been, was during the steroid era when Barry Bonds was hitting
yeah,
had a 73 homer season, Mark
yeah,
McGuire 71. Like that's when baseball is the most exciting. And we've kind of seen that in the past few years with Aaron Judge, you know, breaking the AL single season home run record. But I think these torpedo
yeah.
bats are just going to put it to the nth degree and make it
So
even bigger and even better. And I think it's going to grow the game because even you have non-baseball fans now talking about the torpedo
yeah,
bat. What is this? We've never seen this before, and it's working.
yeah. What are your thoughts on the Rays so far as a Rays fan in Tampa?
It's been tough.
Yeah,
What the preseason predictions for the Rays have come true. The pitching staff,
yeah.
starting rotation has been amazing. Ryan Tepio, Shane Baz, Taj Bradley. It sucks that Shane McClanahan got hurt, but we still have Zach Littell. We still have Drew Rasmussen.
Yeah.
That's a great 5-man rotation. The bullpen has been doing their job for the most part. Mason Montgomery, a young guy who I'm a big fan of. The guy throws triple digits, 102 with great movement on his fastball, lots of vertical rise on it. And then you
Mm,
have Pete Fairbanks closing games out. He's still been locked down. And then you still have Edwin Uceta right before that, who's been such a good setup man for last year and this year. But
mm,
once again, for the second straight year, the main problem for the Rays has been the offense. I mean, you can't score 2 runs against the Los Angeles Angels and hope to win. Like, the Los Angeles Angels are terrible. You should
yeah,
be putting up 6 runs, 7 runs a game off them. Like, their pitching
yeah.
staff is Yusei Kikuchi, Kyle Hendricks, Reed Detmers. It's so bad, and the
They're
Angels,
off to a good start though. They're like eight
yeah,
and four to start the
the
season.
Angels are 8-4, which I'm very surprised. But also, you can kind of look at their schedule and letting
They
the
didn't split a
Angels.
series. Like half of their losses are to the White Sox, which is
Yeah, it's so weird that first
yeah,
series, Angels, White Sox, and the White Sox started off crazy hot, but
yeah. Well,
the
for them
Rays
now
losing a
they've lost.
series, the Rays losing a series to the Angels is a terrible look. Like
Yeah.
Kyron Paris had a 2 homer game against us. Joe Adell had a
Mm,
2 homer game against us. Taylor Ward had a 2 homer game. Like, and then the offense just doesn't perform. The Rays have 3 qualified hitters still in Major League Baseball without a Statcast considered barrel. So a 95 plus exit velo and like a certain launch angle. There's 3 players in the Rays still without a barrel.
that's
That's the
crazy.
most in Major League Baseball. It's sad, honestly. I I hope that when once Ha-Sung Kim comes back from his injury, that he can fill that major hole at
Yeah.
shortstop, take out Taylor Walls. I mean, Taylor Walls is like a 9 hole hitter that should be playing in AAA, in my opinion. He's a
Yeah.
switch hitter that is not valuable from either side of the plate in place, has terrible defense at shortstop. I think once Ha-Sung Kim comes back, Walls gets sent down to AAA. I think
Mm,
the Rays have a better chance, but also like the guys that had expectations, like Danny Jansen, he's got to step up. He's been doing terrible so
mm.
far this year. Junior Caminero, former top 5
Yeah.
prospect in Major League Baseball,
Yeah.
he hasn't been doing well.
Mm-mm.
Curtis Mead, who everyone thought was going to be doing great because of his spring training, he was batting 800 at one point during spring training. He's not doing well. Yandy Diaz, our most proven guy on the Rays roster, a Gold Glove or a Silver Slugger winner, multiple time All Star, Yandy Diaz,
Yeah.
and he's also batting terrible. And it doesn't having those older guys not succeed early on in the season just lowers your young guys' confidence even
Yeah.
more to win games.
I
And
agree.
it also lowers your pitcher's confidence because the Rays pitching staff is young with Pepio, Boz, and Taj Bradley all in their second full season of Major League Baseball.
Mm.
That doesn't help when your offense is giving you 2 runs a game in support and you pitch 6 innings, give up 2 runs on 4 hits, have 7 strikeouts, and then your bullpen gives up 1 run and you guys lose 3-2. Like that is crushing for a young pitcher like that who you're trying to develop in the majors. You're trying to get them experience and their confidence just gets drained. I am happy
For
about
sure.
Cameron Meisner though. He's been playing in the outfield a lot for us and You saw on opening day his first ever home run in the
I
big
saw that.
leagues
Yeah.
came in walk-off fashion off of Victor Vodnik in the Rockies. I mean, that was electric for him. Meisner has great speed in the outfield. He's a tall lefty hitter, great swing. Um, but also injuries have ruined the Rays. Josh Lowe played one game and then had an injury. He's on the 15-day IL.
Mm,
Johnny DeLuca at one point was top 5 in Major League Baseball in batting average. Like, no one expected that from him. He hits the 15-day IL. So every time the Rays take 2 steps forward, we take 3 steps back. It's always like something happens, and we're in fourth right now in the AL East. Not a good look for Tampa Bay. And also, the Rays are playing in the most hitter-friendly ballpark in baseball right now at George Steinbrenner
yeah.
Field, where the Yankees spring train, because it's almost like a replica of Yankee Stadium, but it's moved in even closer. We saw Mike
Yeah.
Trout have a 320-foot home run to right field that only would leave in George Steinbrenner Field. So the Rays have to take advantage of that small field, that hitter friendly park, and they haven't done so far. And it's just ruining the young pitcher's confidence.
Yeah.
But also in the MLB, going away from our favorite teams, I'm very surprised at the San Diego Padres. I thought they were going to regress this year. I thought they were going to go down. And besides that series against you guys, the Padres have looked really
Yeah.
good, man.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, Jackson's Merrill's taking another leap. Tatis Machado's off to a really good start too at his age. He still has like 7 years left on that contract. But the NL West as a whole, I mean, obviously the Dodgers have everyone expecting.
yeah,
And then the Giants are also off to a really good start.
yeah,
Two surprising starts out of the NL West.
yeah. And then,
And the Diamondbacks are pretty good too.
yeah, Dimebacks are going to be good. They have Corbin Burns, Merrill Kelly. You have Zach Gallen, you have Brandon Pfaadt,
Yeah.
you
They have a
have
great
Eduardo Rodriguez. That rotation is really good. And then you have a
and they
good
have
lineup, too, with
Carroll.
Cattell
And
Marte,
Parsley.
Corbin Carroll. You have Josh Naylor at first.
Mhm.
You have Eugenio Suarez at third. Geraldo
He's
Perdomo,
off
who they
to a
just paid.
Eugenio
Yeah,
Suarez is off to a crazy good start. I
yeah,
feel like he always mashes against the Cubs, which on opening day weekend he had like 4 homers in 3 games
yeah.
against the Cubs. So
But the Giants, they were kind of my sneaky team heading into this year because I love that rotation. You have veteran in Justin Verlander, you have a
mhm.
proven guy in Logan Webb, you have another veteran in Robbie Ray, you have Jordan Hicks who throws gas and is filthy, and then you have a very young guy who's going to be playing his first full MLB season in Kyle Harrison. In
Mhm.
my opinion, that's a great 5-man rotation. I think the Willie Adames signing, putting him at short, was perfect for that team. I think they needed a big spark in the middle of the lineup. I think Adames is going to do that for them. And another guy who just keeps going under people's radar, Matt Chapman. He's the best defending third baseman in
Yeah,
baseball by far, and he just keeps mashing.
he's been the best defender like since his Oakland days, like 6 years ago. Like
Yeah,
just
for
always
sure.
under the radar. And
Yeah,
also, John Woo Lee's off to a really good start.
yeah.
Yeah,
I I always believed in him. Just the injury last year,
yeah,
ending his season early sucked for him. And then I
yeah,
think if he gets a full season this year, I think he can really prove to people that he's legit coming out of the
yeah,
KBO. A team that's
yeah.
the most disappointing so far this year, the Atlanta Braves. They're 3 and
Yeah,
9
they're
so
off to a
far.
terrible start.
The lineup is just not hitting at all. And
Mm-mm.
the pitching hasn't been bad, but their lineup has just been horrible. There's
Yeah.
no help for the pitching. They're losing series to the Marlins. That's
Hmm.
terrible. Everyone was clowning the Marlins. Oh, it's the worst roster in baseball. It's the worst starting 9 in baseball. They didn't spend any money in the offseason. How is this team going to be successful? Well, look, they're 6-6 right now, and they're third in the NL
Yeah,
East.
they're off to a
And
good, yeah, surprising start. And also, I mean, I don't know. I thought it was one thing like when they got swept by the Dodgers. I thought they'd be fine. I mean, I guess we have
yeah,
to wait till Acuna fully comes
yeah,
back,
and
but
then Strider too. He'll be coming
yeah,
back soon. But
yeah,
still, you have a great rotation: Chris Sale, Reynaldo Lopez, Spencer
yeah, Chris.
Schwellenbach, AJ Smith-Shawver, and then Bryce Elder as your 5. And your lineup is good. You have Matt Olson, you have Austin Riley, you have
Yeah,
Sean Murphy, you have Ozzy
obvious.
Albies,
Yeah,
but
I
no one's
still,
producing.
I'm not gonna overreact too much to the start. I mean, I still feel like obviously it's an unbelievably bad start, but I feel like, I mean, Ozuna also, I don't know if you mentioned him or not, but I just trust that lineup so much. Acuna, Albies, Murphy, Riley,
Yeah,
Ozuna, Olsen, and then when Strider comes back and Sale, huge 1-2 punch.
yeah,
Sale still winning Cy
for
Youngs
sure.
at his age. I'm not gonna overreact too much to their start. It's definitely a little concern, but I still trust the Braves.
Yeah, another big hit for the Braves, though. We're talking about guys going out this time for a
Yeah,
different reason, though. With Jurickson Profar and 81
yeah,
game suspension, getting
yeah,
popped for PEDs, like you can't
yeah,
have that. He just got paid 3 years, $42 million, and then 5 games into the year, he gets popped for PEDs.
yeah,
That's a terrible hit for
yeah,
the Atlanta Braves.
yeah. And that locker room might be just toxic. That like
Yeah,
I don't know. And also, I don't know if it's even that good of a locker room to begin with. To be completely honest, I mean, we all know about Ozuna's off the field
yeah,
business. We'll
off
just
the
call it
field
that.
issues. Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah,
I think the AL Central so far has been pretty predictable. You have the Tigers in
yeah.
first, the Royals trailing by half a game, the Guardians trailing by 1 game, Twins in fourth, White Sox in last. I feel like everyone kind
That's
of
how I
predicted.
predicted it. Yeah,
Yeah, the AL East is kind of surprising. Like we knew the Yankees would be at the top, we knew the Rays would be near the bottom, but the Blue Jays barely trailing the Yankees for first place in the
yeah,
AL East, and the Orioles in last place.
yeah.
The
The Orioles
Orioles were
are not
kind
off
of
to the.
they're kind of my sneaky team to be bad, but I didn't think they were going to be this bad. I thought they were going
I
to be like an
thought,
80, 85, 90 win team, like a
yeah,
wild card team, because their rotation has a lot of question marks.
their
Charlie
rotation's
Morton,
horrible.
Zach
Yeah,
Eflin, Tomoguchi Sagano. Like, you're relying on Tomoguchi Sagano, one of the oldest rookies of all
yeah.
time,
I
to,
trust that lineup 1 through 9, but that rotation is just not good. I
yeah,
guess you get Bautista back, but how much
yeah.
times you're gonna really need him? Like I feel like Eflin as your I would say Eflin's their best pitcher.
Yeah, Eflin was the
I just
opening
can't
day
trust
starter.
a contender, and they haven't won a playoff game with like Corbin Burns and
Yeah.
aces
I
like
think
that. I can't trust them with.
I think letting Corbin Burns walk and not getting anyone to replace him as
Yeah,
the solidified ace was a terrible decision by the front office.
for
I think
sure.
they attacked places that they didn't really need. They got Tyler O'Neill. You have outfield. You have young guys who can play the outfield, like
Mhm.
Heston Kierstad. Like, I don't think they needed an outfielder. And then they signed Gary Sanchez, which you have
Yeah.
Adley Rutschman behind the plate. So what's the point of that? But
Okay.
like you said, that lineup 1 through 9 is solid. Jordan
Yeah.
Westburg, you have Jackson Holiday, you have Ryan Mountcastle, Adley Rutschman, Cedric
Jordan.
Mullins. You have all these great guys. Gunnar
Mhm.
Henderson playing shortstop every day.
Yeah.
But that you can't win baseball games if you have that rotation. If you have Tomoguchi Sagano trying to
Yeah.
win you baseball games on the mound, that's not going to work out. You're gonna
Yeah.
be
For
five
sure.
and eight like the Orioles are right now in
Yeah.
last place in the AL East.
I mean, their schedule has been a little bit rough. Like they were just in Arizona
Yeah,
and Kansas City. They lost both of those series, but I don't know. I mean, like when the Red Sox are also pretty, like they could be sneaky good this year. They have a
for sure.
underrated lineup. Abreu's off to a really good start. Trevor Story is up there, and then the
Yeah,
addition of Bregman, obviously. But I feel like
yeah,
that's a good the AL East. Everyone expected it to be good. It's definitely living up to expectations. If
yeah.
the Orioles are in last, but I hate to break it to you, in my opinion, I feel like that's not going to last, and I think the Rays by the end of the year will definitely be
I'm
in
hoping the
last
Blue
place.
Jays just sneak behind us for last place like they did
Yeah,
last year. But the Red Sox, like you said, I'm a huge fan of the Red Sox. They were my preseason prediction to finish first in the AL East. I'm super high on that team. Garrett Crochet, they got their solidified ace. They paid
yeah,
him a lot of
Crawford.
money.
They
You
did. I
have
saw
Tanner
them.
Houck.
Yeah,
You have Cutter Crawford. You have Bray and Bayo. Like, they have a great rotation. Then the lineup, like you said, Wilyer Abreu off to a hot, hot start. The signing of Bregman, he just won AL Player of the Week last week. And I think that lineup is amazing, but
Mhm.
Rafi Devers, he has to step it up. I mean,
I
12
yeah.
Ks in his first 3 games this season,
Well,
an MLB record is just
hitless too.
horrible. It just people you may try to blame it that he's finally not playing third and that's like messing with him mentally,
I
but
don't.
I just think he's just off to a terrible start and he needs to
Yeah,
step up like now.
for sure.
And like another guy in the outfield, you have Jaron Duran, who
Yeah,
was All Star Game MVP last year. He's just going to
yeah,
keep improving. He's still young. I mean, I think this Red Sox team is so good, and if Rafi Devers can step up and be that true cleanup guy and hit 35 bombs and
yeah,
bring that to the table, I think the Red Sox are going to be a scary team to mess with coming down the stretch.
yeah. I agree.
And
But
then,
I don't know. I still think the Yankees and the Orioles, like
mhm,
come October, I trust the. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust the Orioles with that rotation, but
yeah,
I feel like the lineup makes up for it. But
yeah,
they still haven't won a playoff game, and they've broken 100 wins back to back years, or they
the
didn't
Yankees, the
last.
Yankees too, with the rotation, they've taken some hits. Luis Heel and Garrett Cole both starting the
Yeah.
year on the IL. Not a good look for the Yankees. You know, you have Rodon, you have Max Fried, you have Marcus Stroman, you have Clark
Mm.
Schmidt. But is that back end of the rotation with Stroman and Schmidt, is that going to be good enough to compete later in the season before Cole and Heel come back?
Yeah.
And then moving to the AL West, the biggest shock there for sure is the LA Angels. Like, how is that team eight
Yeah.
and four? You look at that roster, and you're thinking they're 4-8, not 8-4. But guys have been stepping up for them. Kyron Paris he kind of changed his mechanics in his swing. I saw, and he's been mashing so far this year. You know, you have a proven guy, one of the greatest players of all time, Mike Trout. You have him playing right field. From the Rays series, you know, Joe Adell was hitting the ball good. You have Logan O'Hoppe behind the plate, who's a young guy who can perform really well. First base, you have another young guy, Nolan Shanuel. Second base, you have the Angels, arguably their best player last year, Luis Rengifo. The Angels are a sneaky team where it's like you don't think that lineup is good, but that lineup sneaks up on you, and it's
Oh,
like,
I know.
wow,
Yeah.
these guys are kind of producing. But the thing that scares me the most is with the Angels is that rotation. How is that team 8-4 with that rotation? I
I
mean,
don't think that's gonna last long at
yeah,
all.
it can't. You say Kikuchi as your number one starter, like there's no
Yeah.
way. And then you have Jose Soriano who gave up 3 bombs to J Ram in one game, and then Tyler Anderson, you know, super old lefty. Kyle Hendricks, he throws like 88 miles an hour now. Like, how does
Yeah.
he
No.
still have a job in baseball?
I've watched him the last couple of years with the Cubs. It's been brutal. Obviously, he was the
Yeah.
last guy remaining for a while from that 2016 team,
Hmm.
but it's been brutal.
Yeah. I think that kind of sums up our first reactions from the MLB
Yeah.
season. We a lot of shocks in a good way, but there's a lot of shocks in the bad way too, especially with the Braves
Yeah.
and Orioles. But now we're
Mhm.
gonna head to the NBA as the playoffs
Yeah.
and play-in tournament are right around the corner. And Noah, both of our teams are about to be playing in the play-in
Playing.
tournament.
Yep. Yep.
What are your thoughts on your Bulls making the play-in yet again?
I mean, the way I always thought they were gonna be a playing team this year, and
Hmm.
they were still playing. Like the gap from like 9 to 11 or 10 to 11 in the
Yeah,
East is like 5 or 6 games, but
huge. Yeah,
they were not a fun team to watch at all. Like they were just jacking up threes, and the only bright spots really were Kobe White, Gideon, and Modest Buzel's like his development.
hmm,
Something turned it around after Levine got traded. I don't know what it was, but 14 wins in the last 19 games against a bunch of contenders. They beat the
yeah.
Lakers twice, the Nuggets twice in that stretch.
You could kind of say
Just
the one
it's
Lakers was luck, you know, giddy, half
yeah,
court
but
at the
then
buzzer.
they also
Trash.
beat them by
Yeah,
40 like a couple nights before that.
yeah,
It's been such a fun team to watch. I'm excited for the play, and I don't think they like as of this moment they're not on the level of anybody in that play in. They
yeah,
keep every game close. Like the other night against the Heat, they won by like 6 or something, and they
yeah,
beat like they played the Wizards tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if they won by like 4.
yeah,
But they can just beat anybody. I mean, obviously, once they get out of the play-in and hopefully into those playoffs,
yeah.
it's not going to last. Like they'll probably play the Cavs, but I would
That's
be fine honestly. Like as a Bulls fan, if they win like one game against the Cavs, like because
yeah,
I'm going to expect them to win a series against the Cavs.
yeah,
Guys have just been dominant all year long. But I don't know. It's part of me also like wishes I wouldn't. I don't really want like wishes for a missed playoff. Like it's too late now, but like before the All Star break, like I wasn't too mad when the Bulls were bad,
Yeah,
and I was like Cooper Flag and even like Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper,
yeah,
VJ Edgecombe. Obviously, all those are probably out of the table now, but hopefully the Bulls can get somebody at like 16,
yeah.
15 that's there. But
A guy I've seen mocked around that range a lot is
yeah,
Liam
Walter.
McNeely.
That would be great. I mean, the Bulls, I saw Walter Clayton today
Yeah,
get mocked there. I wouldn't want that. I mean, I told you this earlier. That I mean, Trey Jones, Josh Giddey, Lonzo Ball, Kobe White, I would assume all point
yeah,
guards. I wouldn't want another one in an already strong point guard depth room. But
yeah,
wings, I mean, the only one they drafted a wing last year with Buzelis, but
yeah,
McNeely's just been like he's super fun to watch in college.
yeah, for sure. That Florida game, especially, he just took over
Yeah,
for UConn.
yeah,
I think from a Magic fan perspective, you know, we're we don't have our big three going into the playoffs with Jalen
Mm-mm.
Suggs being out for the year, but I think Paulo and Franz they showed last year that against in that Cavs series in that 4-5 matchup that those two can play and those two can drop
Yeah,
35-40 on you whenever they want.
yeah,
But I think the Magic make the playoffs kind of with these. I think it's going to be Magic Bulls. I don't think the Heat are going to be good enough to sneak out of the play in. And I think the Hawks may put up a little bit of competition because their guard play with Dyson Daniels and Trey Young, and then you have number one overall pick, arguably the rookie of the year this year, Zachary Ricochet,
yeah,
all playing well. But I don't think those two teams can compete with the Magic. Just how good the Magic's roster's built, and then the Bulls, who just have been so hot recently.
yeah. I mean, the Hawks. Let's look at their. Give it. Okay, right now they're losing the 76ers, and then
Mm-hmm.
on Sunday they play the Magic. And if the Bulls win out and the Magic or and the Hawks lose one of two, the Bulls get the 8th seed. So I don't know. I feel like they could beat the Sixers tonight. The Sixers, even though they're down by 7 in the second quarter right now, right about to be halftime. The
Yeah.
Sixers don't have Maxey, Embiid, or Paul George for the rest of the year, so that'll be something down the stretch. Might need the Magic to give us some help because the
Yeah.
Bulls have the Wizards and the Pistons, and the Pistons is a tough game. But if they beat the Bucks tonight, then they'll probably be resting everybody because they'll be locked in that 5 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think the Magic uh were locked up for the 7th seed,
Yeah,
and I think who I think whoever we play, I might be a little biased. If it's the Bulls or the Hawks, I think we win that game. But I would love to
if it's in
see the
Orlando,
Bulls.
yeah,
Yeah, because we have the 7th seed locked up, so we have the home
yeah,
court advantage. And I think if the Bulls get the the Bulls get the 9 seed and play the Heat, I think y'all take care of business there. And I think it'll be Atlanta versus Chicago for that final spot. But if the Bulls play the Magic and the Bulls get the 8 seed, I think that's kind of a worse situation for the Magic because I think you guys can upset us even in Orlando just because of how
yeah,
hot y'all are. Giddy,
exactly.
Kobe White, Modest
Yeah,
Buzelis stepping up, and then Vooch trying to get his revenge against the
Coach.
team that traded him. But I think even if the Magic lose to the Bulls in that 7-8 game, I think the Magic can take care of business against either the Hawks or the Heat.
Easily. I mean, from a Bulls fan perspective, I'm obviously a little bit more optimistic
Yeah,
against the Magic, but looking at it, I mean, the Magic, I don't see how anybody can guard Paulo on the Bulls. I mean, Modest can do a decent job, but for 48 minutes,
yeah,
no. But then the Heat of the Hawks, I think we can definitely take care of business there. If assuming we get the 8th, like
yeah,
that's not like a huge like if everything goes the way it's supposed to, the Bulls would be the 9th seed if the season ended today. But
yeah,
there's still 2 days left, including today.
yeah,
So we need the Sixers tonight, and we need the Bulls tonight. But a lot more confident in the Bulls winning than I am in the Sixers because Bulls are playing the Wizards. But
yeah,
if I'd much rather want to play the Heat than the Hawks because the Hawks, like any given night, they can beat anybody. They've beaten the Celtics
yeah,
once or twice this year. They've beaten the Cavs. Like when the Cavs had like 8 losses
Yeah,
in January, 2 or 3 of those were to the Hawks. They can beat anybody and also lose to anybody.
and
But the
Trey
Bulls
late in the
have,
season
yeah,
is
exactly.
scary to mess with. I mean, he's
The
so clutch.
the Bulls have beaten the Heat, including on Wednesday night. They've beaten the Heat 3 times in the 3 games they played this year. So I'd be much more confident in the Heat. But I don't know. I just need the Sixers to clutch up here and get us the win for some breathing room as the 8th seed.
Yeah, and I think the main thing with the Magic, like Paulo, I think he just needs to keep a level head, not be too cocky. He's kind of shown
Yeah, he's kind
after he
of
got
like this
paid, he's
kid,
kind of been a hothead so far. He had that little beef with Ty Jerome, and Ty Jerome, kind of
yeah,
talked back and was like, "I'd start on your team." Which
which
Ty
he's
Jerome, if you want to come to Orlando, you're welcome. I mean, I'm fine with
and
that.
and also the kneeing thing.
Yeah,
And kneeing kind of cooked them there too. Like
yeah. But I think the bench guys for the Magic can step up because that's what you kind of need with the playoffs. You need a deep team. I think Cole
yeah,
Anthony, KCP. I mean, KCP starts, but still, KCP just role players is what you need. Cole Anthony, KCP, Goga Badatse. I mean, Goga has. I mean, he's a block
Goga's
machine.
been
He's a
great.
rebound
Yeah,
machine. Super
fantasy
underrated.
basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And with your Bulls, Noah, I don't know what OKC was doing. Normally, OKC is one of the smartest teams front office wise, but I think they gave up on Josh Giddey way too early. I
I
mean, he
agree. I'm
showed
glad
with
they did.
y'all.
It sucks that Giddy's on a contract year
Yeah,
with two really big athletes in Chicago sports.
yeah,
Giddy and Kyle Tucker both can get paid a lot this offseason, but I feel like it's a win-win trade. I don't think the Thunder miss Giddy really at all because they're still the
yeah,
best defensive team in the league, which is mainly what they used Giddy for last year because he wasn't
yeah,
really a hot shooter last year. And Caruso's been great for them too,
yeah. He's
off the
been like
bench.
what they wanted from him, just off the
Yeah,
bench, play great defense. He's done that role, but I think Giddey finally getting his chance to get the ball more. He
yeah,
was on the same team as Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who is arguably the MVP. We'll get to that later. Um, Giddy finally getting his chance to get the ball. He's a triple double machine, as we're seeing.
Mm.
Had a triple double and a half court buzzer beater against the Lakers, like against
yeah.
LA. That's prime time television, and
The
Josh
Bulls
Giddy is
are
stepping up.
7-0 this year when Giddy is of a triple double. So
Yeah, that's a crazy stat.
crazy X factor this year for the Bulls.
The East, though, playoff wise, I think it's gonna be a 1-2 matchup. I think it's
Yeah, I
destined for
mean,
Cavs
I feel
Celtics.
like that's been the case like all year.
Yeah, everyone
Like,
believes that, and I don't think you can really go against the grain this
no,
year. I don't think there's another team in the East that can really contend with either of those teams. I would love to see a
no,
Pistons run just because they went from worst to now a playoff team, a 6 seed,
yeah,
skipping the play in completely. Cade
yeah.
Cunningham has been amazing so far this year, and that would be great to see JB Bickerstaff and his squad make a run, but I think the East is destined for a 1-2 matchup in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I feel like the Cavs Pistons. I don't know. I don't think the Pistons are going to get past the Pacers to be honest, but a Cavs Pistons series, I feel like the Pistons could steal a couple of games there. Like
Yeah,
you said, the JB Bickerstaff
yeah,
revenge.
yeah, revenge game.
Yeah,
But I
but
think
Kenny,
the West is
that's who
getting very
cares. Yeah,
tricky because you have so many contending teams. You have the Thunder who've had control of the 1 seed for almost all season. Then
they
second
clinched it
place,
like weeks ago.
yeah,
Too.
like they're 66 and 14 right now. They've been the
Yeah,
1 seed forever, so like
yeah.
for almost the whole season. Then you have a 2 seed, a super young Houston Rockets team, which we always say in the playoffs you need
Everybody.
experience. But
Not I'm not not a single person's talking about the Rockets, and they're
yeah,
the 2 seed above everybody who they are talking about, like the Warriors and the
both
Lakers.
LA teams, Denver, they're ahead of all those teams right now in the standings.
Yeah,
But the thing that scares me the most is with the Rockets is the experience factor.
sure.
Your team is super young. The only guy that really has experience on that team is Fred Van Vliet with that
Mhm.
2019 Raptors team. But
He was a
Jalen Green,
great signing, by the way.
yeah, might be a little overpay. He's making north
Overpaid,
of 40.
but still, like they're still 2 seed.
Yeah,
They
he
weren't good
brought that
last
veteran
year.
presence that
Yeah,
team needed.
exactly. He's the only one. He's the oldest one on the team besides Jeff Green.
Yeah, which
So
Jeff Green really isn't contributing much to the Rockets, but
no,
he's there. But
but their starting
Jalen
lineup,
Green,
yeah.
Alperen Sengun at center, like these guys don't
Amen
have experience. They're
Thompson,
very
who
young. Amen Thompson.
I loved Amen Thompson coming out of the draft, and that paid off. Like both Thompson twins,
Yeah,
contributing big time for winning teams.
yeah, both have been good, but it definitely looks like Amen's the better of the two.
Yeah,
Amen,
yeah,
just his athleticism is just off the charts, and everything he can do on the court, like
yeah,
all the ways he can affect the game is just insane. And then
yeah.
obviously we know about Jalen Green. He was a second overall pick out of the G League Ignite, and then Alperen Sengun. We saw what he could do last year, and he's just keeps doing that. He's great for them down low at the 5, and then
yeah.
your 3 through 6 range is kind of even. It's only a 2 game difference between 3 and 6 between
Yeah.
the Lakers, Clippers, Nuggets, and Warriors. I mean, that's very tight. That's a
And then
very tight.
right after you got like the Timberwolves,
The Grizzlies,
Grizzlies,
which there's a little bit of controversy with the Grizzlies right now after the Taylor Jenkins firing, and then
and then the
John Morant
Jaw
going on this
celebrations. Yeah,
little celebration spree. But I think experience in this Western Conference playoffs is going to be the name of the game. And if you look at teams with the most experience, the Lakers, they've won a title in the past 5 years. The
the
Nuggets have won a
Warriors.
title in the past 5 years. The Warriors have won a title in the past 5 years. Besides that, the Clippers really haven't made it far. The Grizzlies
Clippers have a lot of
haven't made it
players,
far.
though.
Yeah, the Clippers do have players, just not that team per se, because you have Kawhi Leonard who was a Finals MVP. You have James Harden who's been close but never made it to the big game.
No, very
Took the
close.
2018 Warriors to Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah,
I think the Clippers. A lot of people are saying they're a sneaky team. I can't buy into the Clippers hype. I don't know. There's something about the Clippers every year that they always do something, and I never can really buy into the Clippers. It's just like the Jets. The Jets are gonna jet. The Clippers are always gonna clipper.
yeah. The Mets are always gonna Met.
Yeah, the Mets are always gonna Met. The Jets are always gonna jet. The Clippers are always gonna clipper. All little brother teams with 2 teams in
Yeah,
the same city. I think the Lakers can really compete, though. I mean, we know about Luka Doncic. He was in the NBA Finals last year. He went off during that entire playoff run last year for the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, like just dragging the Mavericks to the NBA Finals. LeBron James, the GOAT, greatest of all time, greatest basketball player to ever walk the face of the earth.
yeah.
He's going to be doing LeBron James things. You have Austin Reeves, who has gotten more experience with
He's been
playing
really
for the
he's
Lakers.
been perfect for
Yeah,
what post Luca trade. Like he's just been
yeah. I
everything they've
mean,
asked for.
Austin Reeves as your 3 is such a good scenario for
Yeah.
so many teams. Like Austin Reeves would be a 2 on a
And
lot of.
LeBron's in love with Austin. Like
Yeah,
everything that, and JJ Redick loves what he does for the team.
yeah,
And then also besides that, behind that you guys like Rui Hachimura has been
yeah,
you had Vandy
yeah.
Vando. Sorry, it's been, and then like
And
I mean
you,
Jackson Hayes.
I was
He's been
just about to
doing
say,
everything they've asked for post Luca trade. So
yeah,
obviously stepped into a big role post like AD tenure
yeah.
in LA.
And you have Dalton Connect, but the thing that I just wonder if that Dalton Connect Mark Williams trade would have went through, would the Lakers improved or fallen? Like I think Mark Williams would have been a great add at center, but I don't
I
know
feel
if
like it'd
giving up
be
Connect was the right move because Connect is so young and can do so much.
it'd be like I feel like about the same. I don't think there's any way they would have passed the Thunder or Rockets, but
Yeah,
also with a great center like Mark Williams, I don't think they can fall behind. Like
yeah,
I think they would have had a more comfortable lead on LA and Denver
yeah,
than they do because like if they lose tonight to the Rockets,
yeah,
then they can fall all the way to like the 6th seed. Like it's
yeah.
crazy out
I
there.
mean, they could go in the play-in.
Yeah,
They would fall to the 6th seed, but they're only 2 games ahead of the Grizzlies and Timberwolves who are in the
they
play-in
they
right now.
they clinched the play after they
Oh
clinched
yeah, they
the
clinched the
playoff, bro.
playoffs. But
Yeah,
Nuggets, Clippers, Warriors still haven't clinched, and they can fall into the
no.
play-in. And the
And the
Nuggets,
Warriors just lost in a heartbreaking
yeah,
buzzer beater to Harrison
yeah.
Barnes.
The Nuggets what are the Nuggets doing? Firing Michael Malone, who brought them a championship. I mean, he's done great with that squad. Jokic has 3 MVPs under Michael Malone.
Yeah.
What are they doing firing him in the middle of
It's
the season,
so.
too?
Some report came out. I'm pretty sure it was yesterday. Like he didn't. Some people in the locker room didn't like that he gave Jokic a more special treatment than the rest of the team. Like, come on.
Yeah,
Like, if
he's your
that's
best
a
player.
real. Like, he's the best player in the world.
Yeah.
If Jokic, I wonder what their relationship was because I feel like this move doesn't happen without Jokic approving of it.
Yeah, that
I don't know.
I
And
think
also
it's a lot of stuff.
their
Yeah, the
GM
GM
didn't
also getting
talk
fired.
to. They didn't talk.
Yeah,
Malone and I forgot his name, but
yeah, and it's like
yeah,
the reports came out that like they talked bad about each other behind each
yeah,
other's backs. Like it
yeah,
just wasn't a good relationship. But still, like I think there still has to be more stuff behind curtains that we don't know about
yeah.
because you can't.
Same with Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah,
Same
same
guy.
thing with Taylor Jenkins, but I think the Nuggets is more confusing. You've won a championship within the past
Yeah,
3 years, and you've been a like easy playoff team basically under Michael Malone his whole time with the Nuggets, and you just fire him in the middle of the season when
yeah.
you're the 4th seed in the West, and Jokic is arguably the MVP for his 4th time in his career. Like I don't see why
Fourth
they
time
would
in
do that.
5 years. Too. I feel
Yeah,
like it could have been. I don't know. From obviously someone who obviously has no connection to the Nuggets whatsoever. I have no idea. Just like the rest of the world, it could have been something about his ego. Like that's my best guess because I feel
yeah,
like a lot of people have been rubbed off by Michael Malone the wrong way, and like they just don't
yeah,
like the way he like acts and.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But the Warriors as a 6th seed, if the Warriors can avoid that play and avoid playing those few extra games, I mean, they have that experience factor that we always talk about in the playoffs. You have a top 10
Jimmy.
greatest player of all time in Steph Curry. You have Jimmy Butler, who has shown he's like takes it up another notch when it comes to the playoffs. He's taken the Heat to 2 different finals.
Yeah.
And I think after that Jimmy Butler trade, the Warriors have just they've been looking nice. And Steph and Jimmy, I think, are a great pairing together. And that team, almost everyone on that team has won an NBA Finals because they
Yeah.
won in 2022 against the Celtics. So I think that experience factor is going to come into play in the playoffs. And I think if the Warriors get met, like say they do fall into the play-in and they get that 7th seed instead of the 6th seed, and they play the Rockets in the first round, that could be a sneaky upset for a 7-2
Yeah.
matchup. Just because the Rockets have minimal experience and the Warriors have almost all the experience you could have going to an NBA Finals and winning it.
And also one of the unsung heroes post post Jimmy trade. Hate to say it because he's former Illinois guy, Brandon Pajewski. He's just been
Yeah,
great. He's been
B pods.
shooting, yeah. And Draymond's also been a great defender. I think he's
Yeah,
the favorite for deep
yeah,
points now.
yeah.
I
I
think
mean,
the odds shift.
steals and blocks combined. I mean,
Yeah,
just he's doing everything on defense, guarding every
yeah.
team's best player day in and day out. And
It
then,
was
like you said,
interesting. I don't know if you were watching the Spurs Warriors game last night. Or not last night, 2 nights ago. Down
mhm.
the stretch, they were just attacking arguably the deep boy every possession was working. So that
Yeah,
could be something.
maybe the Spurs saw something we didn't, but
Yeah.
like no other teams have found out
No.
about Draymond. But Draymond, stat wise, the steals and the blocks, doing it both
Yeah.
like at the perimeter and in the paint. It's just insane the level of defense he's played for
For
almost
sure.
his entire career. And then B Pod's doing his role, hitting a lot of shots, hitting clutch
Threes.
shots for
Yeah.
sure. And then like that bottom 5 of the eliminated teams in the West, it's so confusing. You have the Suns with Bradley Beal, Devin
Chris
Booker, and
Paul.
Kevin Durant,
Yeah.
and that team doesn't even make the play-in. Like something has to change in Phoenix. They have to get some of those contracts off and just rebuild. I think
I
KD is going to be
agree.
gone this
KD's
offseason.
definitely gone this summer for sure.
If KD goes to the Spurs, I mean that's what I'm hoping for the most because KD and Wemby with De'Aaron Fox facilitating at point guard is a dream. The
And
Spurs
if
have a
Chris
lot of cap
Paul,
space.
if
Yeah,
Chris Paul
and
still stays there,
Chris Paul still is playing in the NBA next year. You also have him
I don't
But
know if he has another year though.
yeah, he's getting old. He's definitely his talent has definitely fallen off a good amount.
And also Stephon Castle, Devin
Yeah,
Vassell. Oh, that'll
yeah.
be a fun team next year.
That is a fun team for sure. And Wemby, like everyone compared him to KD, coming out of the draft. Tall, lanky, can shoot from anywhere on the court. Why
Yeah,
not pair him up with his NBA draft day comp? Like that would
yeah.
be so cool to see. And San Antonio is third to last place in the Western Conference since Wemby has been out
Injuries.
for
Yeah,
the year with
injury.
his blood clot.
Fox
So
is also out for the year.
yeah, but somehow they beat the Warriors.
Yeah, that was a
But
huge game for the Warriors too.
if the
I think
Spurs can
they.
get like a top 3 pick in the draft and pick like Ace Bailey or Cooper Flagg or even Dylan
Oh my
Harper,
God.
oh my goodness, the Spurs are going to be so scary. The NBA is
Yeah.
going to have to
My goodness.
it's going to be
Oh,
so bad for the NBA. It's going to
yeah.
be Thunder Spurs for like the next 20 years.
The Thunder could also get Cooper Flag. Like
Yeah,
there's a
because
possible.
because the ownership of their other
Yeah.
picks, which is insane. The job Sam Presti has done in OKC, but
Yeah.
even the Spurs, if they got VJ Edgecombe or Derek Queen, like, oh my goodness, that would
Derek
work.
Queen, he's not on the same. Like
I've seen a lot of mock
as
drafts where
a
Queen
as
goes
a,
5.
in my opinion, as a Big Ten basketball
Yeah,
watcher, like I don't know, he's been great, but I don't know. Like I feel like his post game, like some nights, like against Florida, for most of the game
hmm
wasn't there. He tries to shoot, and he's just
yeah,
not. I don't know. He's also a 20-year-old freshman,
yeah,
and NBA scouts look at that a lot. Like, that's why Clayton
yeah,
wasn't that high on many
yeah.
boards coming in the year. But yeah,
If the Spurs can get a top pick, though, no matter who they pick, that's going to be scary for the NBA.
for sure.
But it all depends on health too.
Yeah, even
Whatever
if they
happens with
don't,
Wemby's blood clot.
even if they don't get a top pick and don't get KD, I feel
Yeah,
um, like a full year of Wemby and Fox, if Wemby can
Castle.
recover. Yeah, Castle too.
Yeah,
Arguably rookie of the year, is the best defender as a rookie.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this West is just stacked this year.
Mhm.
Even like your 9 and 10s who are below 500 in the play-in, you have the Dallas Mavericks, who Anthony Davis is finally back, which the Mavericks have been dealing with injuries and all that, but the Mavericks still could make a little noise in the play-in tournament. I think they could win the 9-10 game and then play versus the loser, the 8-7. I think that's a possibility for sure. But Dallas losing Kyrie kind of took a big hit on them. And then
Yeah.
Sacramento. Sacramento's a play-in team for sure. Like they always make the play-in. But Zach
Joe
LaVine,
Valanciunas playing
yeah,
legend. And DeMar, that team was just built for
yeah.
the play-in.
Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Jonas Valanciunas, they have experience in the play-in tournament. And then
I feel like they could beat. Well, I mean, I guess they're playing the Mavs, so it's
yeah, they'll
not.
play the Mavs in the first game, and
And
then
then they'll play the loser,
the 7-8.
which is probably like as if the season ended today, it would be Grizzlies
Yeah,
Timberwolves. But that I mean, Kings Grizzlies could be a really interesting game to get the 8th seed. I mean,
yeah,
just lose to the Thunder, but still,
yeah.
like
Jaren Jackson Jr. versus DeMontis Sabonis. That would be a
yeah,
great matchup to
yeah.
see.
It's crazy that Grizzlies team's a 8th
Yeah,
seed.
I think
Like they were a
firing
2 seed.
Taylor Jenkins just causes more drama in the locker room,
Yeah,
and he's going to hurt the
more
team.
than they already have. Which
Yeah,
with Ja, everybody knows. Like
yeah. But no, I gotta ask. With us talking about the West, who's the MVP?
Jokic. I mean, it's simple to me. He's
I
having one
think
of
it's
the
simple too.
best seasons in NBA history, statistical wise. 30, 10, and 10, and then almost a 40, 50, 90. Like,
Yeah,
it's insane to me.
people are calling Shea efficient, which yes, I'm not taking that away from Shea. He's efficient, but a 6'11" center is shooting 50%, 57% from the field, over 40% from three, and almost
Gotcha.
90% from the free throw line. How is that possible? And he's also averaging 10 assists and 12 rebounds a night, while also doing 30 points. How is that not the MVP?
And right now,
If
with right now, sorry to cut you off,
You're good.
without Jamal Murray for the rest of the year,
Yeah,
his second best teammate, I don't usually go into these team comparisons,
yeah,
is Christian Brown on the offense side of the ball.
yeah,
Shea has Chet, even Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, Lou Dort, the best roster arguably in the NBA behind the
yeah,
Celtics. It's
for sure.
insane to me.
Yeah, Jokic has Christian Brown and Michael Porter Jr. to pass the ball to, and Shea has J Dub, Lou Dort, Hartenstein, Chet. Like you said, like he has so many
Yeah.
options, and Jokic has MPJ and Christian Brown, and Jokic is also shooting 50, 40, 90 almost.
I mean, I feel like the only reason I would give it to Shea is if they're doing the best player on the best team, which
Yeah,
would go to Donovan Mitchell. Like it just
yeah,
it makes
yeah, and
you
like
know. Oh my god,
you could Shea is obviously leading the NBA in points per game, but it's
that's
a
about it.
2 point margin between him
Yeah,
and Jokic is averaging way more assists and way more rebounds than Shea, and is
yeah.
providing so much more value to his team. Like if you took Shea off the Thunder are still a middle of the pack playoff team
Reaching.
in the West, and
Yeah,
if you take Jokic off the Nuggets, I think he's in that Kings Mavericks range where they're
yeah,
below 500 and barely in the play in.
yeah.
Like I
It's
think it's simple. And the only other thing that you could say for Shea's for the MVP is voter fatigue because this would be
that's
Jokic's
true.
fourth
Yeah.
MVP in the past 5 years, which
Which
I
honestly,
know,
to me, is the voter fatigue. It's just it's stupid. It's so
yeah, like you could say that's boring, but having a player win 4 MVPs in a 5 year span
exactly,
shows greatness. That arguably
exactly.
puts Jokic, just from that alone, puts Jokic arguably in the top 10 greatest players of all time.
I completely. I think he already might be there with the
Yeah,
finals win this year, but and
yeah,
also adding an MVP this year. So
yeah. It's close. I think by the end of his career, he's definitely gonna be top 10 all time.
I think he'd
And
be like top 7 by the end of his
yeah,
career, like, and top 2 centers of all time by
who
the
do you have?
end.
Just Kareem ahead of him?
Yeah, I feel like he could pass Shaq with
Yeah,
because
for sure.
Shaq did he ever win 4 MVPs?
No,
Exactly. I mean,
but and like Jokic, just the way he impacts the game with his passing ability
for
is just
sure,
like something we've really never seen out of a center of
for
his
sure,
size.
exactly.
And it's like every game, Jokic is doing something crazy, like
Yeah,
the 30-20-20 night. That's unheard of. And
exactly.
then a
And
60-point
60,
triple
10,
double.
10. Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
how is
goodness.
this guy not your MVP? It would be a disgrace looking back 5-10 years from now if Shea Gilgeous Alexander wins the
Yeah,
MVP over Nikola Jokic. It's a
exactly.
disgrace to the league. It's going to be worse than Steve Nash over Kobe and Shaq. It's going to be 10 times worse than that
Easily, easily. Yeah,
because Shea plays the game and looks cooler because Jokic doesn't play the game aesthetically. Jokic, it doesn't look like he's going to drop 30, 10, and 10 on you, but he's going to do it every time.
yeah,
And Shea is I'm not a big fan of like the Shea free throw merchant thing.
yeah. Sam,
Like
not at all.
Giannis averaged more free throw attempts per game in his MVP year than Shea did this year.
And
It's just free throws made.
if you took away points
Yeah, it's
or free
Shea.
throw, she's
Yeah.
still a leading scorer. So
So I don't really agree with that take. But when you have a 6'11" center of Jokic's size averaging 30, 12, and 10 a night on 50, 40,
unreal.
90 almost, you have to be
That's
comfortable.
unheard of in the
Yeah.
NBA. Absolutely unheard of. And this he's doing like every year he's won MVP. He's doing something crazy. This is his best season.
This is his best season. He's already
He
won
should
3 MVP.
have. He should have 4 MVPs in 4 years. By the way,
You think he deserved it
I think
over
he should have
Embiid?
won it over Embiid. But
I
that also
think
could have been voter fatigue.
yeah,
If
I
this,
I was a Jokic guy for like the first like 65, 60 games of the year, and then I kind of moved to Embiid like the last part because the Sixers were really good that year, and Embiid
they were, but
was
the Nuggets are the best team in the league that year. Like
yeah,
even in the regular season before they won the finals, they were still the best team
but
in the NBA.
what did Embiid average? 30, 32, 33 a night,
Yeah,
and
but
like
Jokic probably wasn't far. I don't remember exactly.
yeah, I think
Probably
Jokic
like
that year was
30.
like 28, 29.
But he also had like 10 assists, 10 rebounds.
Yeah, exactly. But then
I don't
Embiid
remember,
also had double
but
digit rebounds. I think it was a close race. I wouldn't be mad. Like I'm not mad that Embiid won it that year. But if Shea
I'd be
wins it
mad
this
if
year,
Shaq.
I'm
Yeah,
I'm gonna be mad. It's gonna be
completely agree.
such a bad look for the NBA. And even people voting Shea last year for MVP, like that's insane.
Yeah, I feel like if you were to make a case for second last year, which you shouldn't, because it was obviously Jokic's award, it should have been Luka
Yeah,
last year. If it was a
yeah,
case for
for
second.
sure. Like somehow Luka Doncic has never won the MVP, but has more voter fatigue than like a guy like Embiid or Jokic. It's so
It's crazy.
weird.
Like if Jokic didn't exist, Luka would probably have two MVPs. Tatum would have a couple MVPs.
Yeah,
Embiid would have multiple.
yeah.
It's
If Embiid can
the
stay
impact he
healthy,
has on this NBA. Yeah, that's true.
yeah,
The
and like
impact that
he does it internationally too. It's not like he's just an NBA player. He
no,
can do it with different rules, like the FIBA rules, where there's not defensive three
yeah,
seconds and there's people crowding the paint. He still does it there. He's unreal.
yeah. I went to that Nuggets game when he hit that.
Yeah.
Seeing him in person was it was crazy because I watched the Nuggets, but I don't fully pay attention. Like the
Mhm.
way they run his offense through him and the way he gets a rebound, looks for an outlet, easy assist. Like it's
Yeah.
beautiful. Like
Yeah.
everything they do is crazy. But yeah,
I think we've
we're
talked
a
enough
nutrient
about the
man.
NBA. I think we're gonna head to the NFL news. Lots of drama,
Yeah.
lots of signings this free agency. We got the NFL draft coming up this month. Noah, what are your thoughts on the draft? You know, who do you think will go in the top 5?
Not gonna lie, I haven't been too locked in the draft more on March Madness in the NBA, but still, I think Cam Ward is the guy at one. I think he's better than Shador.
For
Just
sure.
everything about him. I saw something on like everyone. I think he'll be a solid quarterback in the NFL, like top 15,
Yeah.
5 years from now. But like the Mahomes comparisons that he's gotten recently,
Yeah.
I'm not on board with that. I
I don't
think he
think
could
Cam
be
will ever be
like
a superstar. He
I
doesn't have
think
that
he'll be as
superstar
good as
fit.
like he could be as good as like Trevor Lawrence is right now. So like
Yeah.
mid tier.
He'll
And
be
then
a
at
mid-tier
two,
starting quarterback for sure.
I feel like the Browns should take Abdul Carter.
Okay.
3, the Giants should take or Patriots or Giants.
Giants, yeah, Giants at 3. Patriots at 4.
Giants, I think they should take Shador because they don't really have true quarterback in their QB room right now.
Uh-huh.
And then 4, luckily for the Patriots, they got their guy in Travis Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
5, I'm
Jags.
oh yeah. I mean, would you want to give Lawrence another weapon? Because T Mac,
I don't think T-Mac's worthy enough of going top 5,
you
though. I
don't.
think,
At Arizona, he's just been crazy. Like he just
yeah.
dominates the Big 12, but the Big 12.
Just like on the film, his route tree was very
Yeah,
limited at Arizona
yeah,
because, like, he was so dominant with
that's
only
true.
3 routes he had to use. So, like, we
Yeah,
really didn't see
Fafita and
his,
McMillan. Yeah,
yeah.
I
I
guess I'd
think
go Will
Will Campbell, yeah.
Johnson.
Oh, Will
Oh yeah,
Johnson.
well no,
Oh, okay.
I meant Campbell. I meant Campbell.
Okay.
Oh
Yeah. I think Cam goes 1. You know, we've heard stuff about like Abdul Carter could be sneaking into that number 1 overall
yeah,
pick range, but I think the Titans have to go quarterback. Will Levis
I
cannot be your
agree.
starting quarterback heading into
I
next year.
agree.
You can't let that happen. Browns, I think they also have to go quarterback. Right now, they don't really have a quarterback. Kenny Pickett is the starter. And
Yeah,
I think Shador goes 2. I think it's going to be a way reach. I think everyone's going to know it's a reach. I think the Browns are going to know it's a reach, but I think they're going to have to do it
desperate
because of the
reach.
need, and it's just going to be at a disparity.
It's gonna be like
Um,
Bo Nix last year, even though it wasn't a
yeah,
reach in the
yeah.
end. But
Everyone was like Bo Nix's
at
second,
the
third round pick,
at the
and
time, it was definitely a reach. But
yeah, third. I don't see the Giants taking Abdul Carter since they have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau around the
really,
edge. So I have them taking Trav because I think Trav
okay.
is. I think
Yeah, I
Trav is
mean,
the
I
Giants guy. If
at the
the
pick at the 3 pick, it's definitely Shador or
yeah,
Trav, whoever's there, whichever
I think if
Colorado
the
guy's
Giants
there.
don't get Shador, they're going to take the other Colorado guy and Travis Hunter. You know, give Russell Wilson, Malik Neighbors, and Travis Hunter. And then if Russell Wilson gets hurt, you have Jameis Winston throwing Travis Hunter and Malik Neighbors deep bombs every
Yeah,
single play. That
I
would
feel
be
like
electric.
I feel like they take Shador because I don't know. I feel like Russ is gonna start a year at quarterback and then
Yeah.
retire. Like, and I feel like then, I mean, QBs in the past. Actually, there really hasn't been a quarterback that sat behind Russ for a year. But I feel like he seems like a good locker guy, like Justin Fields last year. We'll see how he
Yeah,
does with the
yeah,
Jets after sitting behind Wilson.
Russ. Yeah. Um, I don't know. I just feel like the Browns, based on need, that they need a
Yeah,
quarterback right now, and they haven't signed anyone. So I think they're going to need to draft a quarterback, and I think Shador's going to be their guy because I don't think Dart goes that high, and I think Ward has to go 101.
Darts, like I watched him, he does not look that good. I don't even know if he's a day one pick. And also,
Really?
going back to the NBA real quick, the Hawks just took a 4-point lead over the Sixers already
Oh,
in the third quarter, which isn't surprising to me, but hopefully the
yeah.
Sixers can pull through here. But
For the Bulls, yeah.
go ahead with the keep going with the
Fourth overall pick, the Patriots. I think they're gonna have to decide between helping out the defense or helping out their future franchise quarterback. And I think they're gonna choose helping out the star franchise quarterback more than the defense. And I think Carter's gonna fall even more. And I have the Patriots taking
yeah.
Will Campbell.
If he
He,
falls, oh,
I know it's crazy, but I think you need to protect your future franchise quarterback in Drake May. And Drake May has shown that he's probably going to be the face of the franchise for the Patriots. He was great last year in his rookie year, and I think he's just going to improve even more. And he had one of the worst O lines
and
in
he has
football.
Diggs. He has
If you
Diggs now.
have, yeah, you got him Diggs as a target, and if you get him Campbell to block his blind side, I think that's going to be great for May's development. And then fifth, I think it's a no-brainer for the Jags if Abdul Carter falls this far. You can't let him slip even more. You got to take Abdul Carter, who
Yeah,
everyone is saying is the best overall player in this draft. I mean, everyone's comparing him to Micah Parsons, just the speed, the the moves on the off the
yeah.
edge, the
No way he
versatility,
falls.
everything.
I've seen
But
like I watched every Penn State game this
yeah,
year. He's a beast. Like my
yeah,
goodness, like he was one of the most dominant edge rushers I've ever seen. Probably the most
yeah.
since Jace Young in person.
I saw a film breakdown of him, and it was like he has one big weakness, and it's like he does the same move every time around the edge. It's always going to be a finesse, like a finesse spin move, which all pro offensive tackles that are guarding that can spot that, and they're going to
Yeah,
block it every time. And a lot of times when he didn't do that, he was on his back. He got
yeah,
pancaked. So
yeah.
if he can show that he has the strength to bull rush an offensive tackle, then yeah, I think he is by far the best player overall. But I think based on team needs and what teams are gonna do with the draft and like how their teams are built, with the Patriots with their young future franchise quarterback, and then the Giants having those two edge rushers in Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau already. I think Carter kind of takes a slide in the draft and he falls right in the Jags' lap at 5. And I think the Jags are going to take that.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I
Noah,
feel
what do
like
you think your Bears are going to do in this draft this year?
I hope Genty. I know it's a home run pick,
Yeah,
but I mean, fix the O line in the offseason. Got Drew
yeah,
Dahlman, and Jared Fortuny, which were at the two biggest position needs. I feel like Poles has done a good job this offseason.
hmm
And now, I mean, Swift on a big contract. Not
yeah,
that good of a year last year. Could have been because of the O line, but Genty, I feel like if he's there at
yeah,
9, like it's a home run pick, and he is a once in a generation running back for Arby's in a draft class. I'd take him for sure. How about
yeah.
the Bills late in the draft, which you're used to seeing
I,
come late in the draft?
yeah.
Which is
I don't think
haunted.
the draft is really what. I don't think the draft is really going to help us that much because we're in
No.
the win now situation. So it's not going to be a young guy that's going to help us. Like people thought Keon Coleman was going to do a bigger job for us last year. He didn't do that much because we don't need young guys. It's going to be veterans because we're in a win now scenario. So I think if the Bills can draft Mike
Mm,
Eamon,
yeah, he is
I
good.
think that would be great for us. If not, it really is up in the air, but I really don't think it's going to affect the team that much. No matter who we draft, we could take Walter Nolan to have another D tackle. Kind of do what the Eagles strategy was: have like a lot of different O tackles to switch or defensive tackles to switch in and out.
Yeah.
But for the Bears, Noah, in a lot of mock drafts I've done, I
Mhm.
I think Armin Mimbow is a perfect option for you guys. At a Mizzou,
He could
he can
be.
be that last tackle that y'all need, and then that O line is set.
Yeah,
You
that
guys will have
all.
a great O line.
I
And
also feel like Shamar Stewart could be the pick.
yeah, I watched this film breakdown. It was Shamar Stewart versus Armin Mimbaugh in the Mizzou Texas A&M game
Yeah,
this year,
I
and
remember that game. It was a great game.
Mimbaugh dominated Shamar. Anytime
He
they
did.
were against each other, Shamar's really only move this past year was the bull rush. He outweighed and
I
just
saw some. I
outstrength.
saw some film breakdown.
He just like had more muscle and more strength than all these O linemen in the SEC, so he just
Yeah,
outperformed them. But against Armin, who's going to be a top 10, top 15 draft pick for sure in the NFL draft, he
yeah,
has real offensive lineman strength, real NFL offensive tackle strength, and you can't just bull rush a guy like that.
yeah,
He's gonna be able to guard that.
yeah,
Stewart, his ability to track the ball though, like on passes to the running back and stuff like that, his ability to track down runners is insane. Next level. Just I'm scared about his moves on the line because it really seems like he's a one-dimensional player when it comes to doing moves on tackles, and when you're facing guys like Joe Alt, Trey Smith, like all pro tackles, it's it's not going to work. Like
for
the
sure.
Eagles, Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, those guys are going to eat it up. Penei Sewell, those guys are going to know what to do, and they're going to be stronger than you.
Yeah,
But
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know about how I feel about the Genty thing because we all know Johnson coming from the Lions
yeah,
had that
that's true.
that's that Sonic and Knuckles kind of build, with Montgomery and Gibbs, which I think he could do that. The Bears
That could
could do
apply
that.
though. Yeah, that could apply with Swift and
Genty, yeah.
Ramsey. But
But I've also seen some other stuff where the Bears could trade Swift. I don't know how you feel about that
I don't want them
because
to trade Swift. I feel
you
like they could
don't.
get like a. I would.
Oh, you would? Okay.
Yeah, I think
So
they could get like a third round pick out of that.
yeah, and I what I saw was they trade Swift and then draft Judkins and Henderson, both in the third
Both.
round. Yeah, to make that Sonic and Knuckles combo like Johnson had in
I feel like
Detroit.
that's like pushing it. Like, I mean, that's what Ohio State had.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't know.
which I
I
think
wouldn't
if you
trade
draft
Swift for
Genty,
two unproven. Like
running backs, yeah.
Travion Henderson wasn't like when I saw him because Ohio
Hmm.
State played Northwestern probably like 3 times in his career. He was
Yeah,
I don't he was there for a while. He wasn't
yeah,
until this year. He didn't really have a good game against most years. It was a weak D line at
yeah,
Northwestern, and then also I mean like he's had flashes. Like he was good in the College Football playoff. He had that like 80-yard touchdown against Texas.
yeah.
The
Um,
Judkins, I'd want him.
yeah, Judkins is amazing. I think he probably should have stayed at Ole Miss for his last year just because he would have shined more. But he chose to
He's
win a
still
natty in
yeah,
college,
he's still
so
in a natty. So
so and he's
you
still
know,
going to be a third round pick probably.
yeah. This running
I,
back class is crazy good.
yeah, definitely. There's going to
I
be
feel
a
like
guy that's going
outside
to
of
be
and like Caleb Johnson at Iowa.
yeah, and then Omarion Hampton out of
Yeah,
UNC, RJ Harvey out of UCF, which I think RJ Harvey is
Samson,
getting
Dylan
so
Samson.
overlooked because Harvey, everything he does, one of the fastest 40s at the combine, one of the highest vertical jumps at the combine, one of the farthest broad jumps at the combine. Everything he's done, he's shown he can receive, he can rush, he has speed, he has power. His only two flaws sounds like Walter Clayton. He's short and he's too old. I don't think those are true flaws for an NFL player. If you have
He's
talent, you have talent. We saw Tyrone Tracy this past year. Everyone said he was too old for the NFL. That's why he fell in the draft. He had over 1,000 scrimmage yards this year for the Giants.
yeah,
So
and
I
I feel like also like in the NBA, like for Walter Clayton, like Dalton Connect, they said he was
yeah,
too old. Zach Edey, they said he was too old. They said
yeah,
Edey was the worst lottery pick. And since Taylor Jenkins got fired, he's been one of the best players on the Grizzlies. But
yeah,
back to the NFL, I mean, he's like, what, 5'10"?
yeah.
Hampton?
5'9", 5'10".
Yeah. I don't know. He could be a day two running back, day three. But he seems like a day three pick, but I feel like also other GMs have him as like a day two, like round
Yeah.
two. because he
Uh,
at UNC was lethal.
yeah. Um, the college football playoff, a guy that really made his name stand out, Cam Scattaboo.
Yep,
What do you think about him? In my opinion, I don't think his game will translate that well to
that's
the
what I
NFL.
think too. He's just like a power rusher.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously, it was great to see at Arizona State what he
yeah,
was doing, like the Big 12 championship and the game against Texas. He carried them all the way back,
yeah,
but I don't think it translates.
yeah. It's just power running backs really don't work in the NFL now. Like besides Derrick Henry,
Or
who
only
is an
Derrick Henry. Yeah,
anomaly, it's so hard to be like
yeah,
outstanding in the NFL as a power running back. And
yeah,
I don't think Scattaboo is gonna be the anomaly like Derrick Henry can
for sure.
in the NFL.
And Henry had three, was it three or four successful seasons at Alabama? They
Yeah,
won a championship. He won the Heisman, and everybody knew he was going to be a high pick in the
amazing.
NFL.
Yeah,
I haven't seen anything about Cam Scatterboot.
yeah. And NFL drama getting away from the draft, we've had a lot of signings. Miles Garrett becomes the highest paid non
Yeah,
quarterback of all time.
yeah,
Jamar Chase getting a
deserved.
bag. T. Higgins getting another franchise tag, which I know he hates, but then he got that extension, right?
Yeah,
And then Tyreek Hill. What's going on with him?
he's just a drama. Like
I think he
I
every
feel like he just
offseason he
loves the
causes
attention.
drama. Yeah,
Yeah, even with the Chiefs. I mean,
yeah,
before he got traded, he was just off the field, like with beating his kid, and he's just.
yeah,
I don't know if you've seen his TikToks. I feel like he's just like engagement farming. As
yeah.
Tyreek Hill, it's just kind of crazy.
I think, like you said, he just wants that attention, and
Yeah.
I don't know if him wanting out of Miami is true or once again just a part of his attention
He said it.
seeking.
He said it once they lost to the Jets to miss the
Yeah, and
playoffs.
missed the playoffs. Yeah,
He said, but I feel like nothing was said until like that one TikTok.
yeah,
I don't know.
and like
And he
on
had more allegations on his name a
yeah,
couple days ago. Like everything's just.
and like on X, he like replies to people saying like "Get Tyreek out of Miami," and he like replies with a smiling face or whatever. Like
He's like
that.
a mini AB. Like not.
Yeah,
I'm
not to
not.
the extreme of Antonio
I'm
Brown, but
not
it's
saying like just like the way he wants out.
yeah, and it's just like
Yeah, but
the stuff he does, the drama he causes, reminds me of Antonio Brown.
it's
But
weird. Like
what
a couple
team?
years ago, like last year or 2 years ago, he was
Yeah,
just saying how perfect a fit Miami was. And
yeah,
also, I don't know. This has been a case. Like once he got to the Dolphins, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna retire in a couple years."
yeah,
I don't know if you remember that. Like when he was
yeah,
really young,
yeah.
but yeah,
What team do you think could take a risk on a guy like Tyreek and bring him in as their wide receiver one?
I feel like mm, I could say the Chargers, like a contender that is a couple
Yeah.
pieces away.
Okay. Yeah.
I could see who else. It's some AFC contender for sure. I don't know why. He just like maybe the Steelers. Oh,
Yeah. But
I mean
the
they
DK.
don't really. Oh yeah, but like they, I feel like the Steelers would be willing to give up a lot for a veteran
Yeah. For
receiver. We saw like
yeah.
DK and guys in the past. DK, yeah, but I feel like yeah, definitely not the Steelers. Now that I think about it, um,
I think the Ravens because you get
I
Zay
don't think the
Flowers, another
Ravens.
guy to
I feel
get.
like I feel like Harbaugh trusts Bateman a lot to be that guy, that number
Yeah.
two.
I just feel like a lot of corners put a lot of their attention on Bateman or not Bateman Flowers. I feel like
Yeah,
that kind of takes away from Flowers' success. And if you bring in a big name like Tyreek, he's just going to bring name value to the team too. So it's going to bring attention to him, and I think it's going to open up the game even more for Zay Flowers.
yeah.
But also,
Um,
like maybe the
I
Cowboys
wouldn't.
because the Cowboys really need a wide receiver, and that would be an interesting thing to see Jerry Jones and Tyreek Hill be
Yeah, no,
running the kids thing.
I wouldn't think. I wouldn't. I can't see Jerry
Yeah,
Jones and Tyreek Hill. And also, like any NFC contender, like think like the NFC true contenders,
uh huh,
Eagles don't need a
yeah,
receiver. Lions don't need a receiver.
yeah,
Niners, I guess they could like fully healthy. They could be on the list. They won the NFC last time they were healthy.
yeah.
don't need a receiver at all.
Rams don't need a receiver. They have
Rams don't
Puka
need
and
a
Devontae Adams.
Mm-hmm.
The Bucks could need a receiver. I know they
I don't think
re-signed
they do.
Godwin, but
They brought Evans back 2 years ago and re-signed Godwin this
yeah,
year. I don't think they I couldn't see Godwin or Evans playing receiver 3.
yeah,
I feel like Tyreek might want him more because he seems like he likes Florida a lot,
yeah,
but I don't think the Bucks would want him that much. I wouldn't think they would want to give up that much for him. The Packers maybe,
yeah. Because the Packers are missing that true wide receiver
but they
one
just have a
guy.
bunch of young guys. That doesn't fit
Yeah,
what they are. They just have a bunch of young receivers.
yeah, and
So
also Tyreek hates the cold weather. You know.
he does hate the cold weather.
Yeah. Um,
Been known.
I think a young team like the Panthers though could take a shot on Tyreek because
The Panthers, I don't know. That could be a pretty good fit.
I think Bryce Young's going to take a huge leap again this year. And I think the Panthers are going to be a
I
solid team in the NFC South. I think they're probably going to finish second in the division. And I think if they get a guy like Tyreek to give Bryce a true wide receiver one, that could help
Yeah,
him a lot. You have Leggett, who's young. You have Jalen Coker, who's young. You have Thielen, who's a veteran.
yeah,
But you're missing that true guy at the wide out position. And I think if you get Tyreek for Bryce Young, I think that could fit well in Carolina.
yeah. I don't know. I just feel like that doesn't fit Tyreek. What he wants, he hates the cold. Carolina isn't too cold, but it's not warm by any extent. And I feel like he'd want
Yeah.
to play for a true current contender, and that's just not the case with the Panthers. I feel like I agree with you. They could be a second place team in the South. I don't really trust the Falcons at all this year.
Yeah. I mean, I
I think
think
the Bucks
Penix
are
can do
definitely.
all right, but
I don't
I
think
don't know.
Penix is that good, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's gonna get a full season this year, so we'll see. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
don't like I don't like the Falcons coach. He's just
Yeah.
the fit.
Morris is just
Yeah,
that Commanders game,
yeah. When he
like
didn't call the timeout and
yeah,
that got him out of the playoffs,
yeah. That's a terrible look for a head coach.
and also the Falcons were in first lot of the year. Kirk kind of lost in that, and then bringing in
Yeah.
a rookie, I don't know. I just don't like the Falcons
Yeah.
culture, and I feel like last year was their year to really contend
Yeah.
in the South. I think the Bucks definitely have it. Yeah.
But you got to look at their skill position. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, those are some guys. So I
They
think
had the
those
same
guys can
thing last year.
yeah. But
They had
I
the
mean,
exact
still the
same
Falcons
thing.
went 8-9, right?
Yeah,
So just below 500, and those guys are going to improve even more probably.
but the
So
Panthers, like we just said, are getting better. The Bucks
yeah,
brought basically everybody back, and I feel like Baker's going to take another leap.
yeah. I
And
think
then,
the Falcons probably go 7-10. They lose one more game,
yeah,
six
I
and 11.
agree. That's fair. And I feel like the Panthers are in that 6-10, 7-11, or
Yeah,
6-11, 7-10 range.
yeah.
Also,
The Saints by far are going to finish in last though.
agreed.
Have to. Yeah.
And do you think of Derek Carr stuff today? You
Yeah.
didn't? Oh, you
Wait.
did. He could miss the season.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
has a
But
season thing
I
going into
I
it.
think Rattler will probably. I don't
Rattler,
even
yeah,
know.
he probably couldn't. He probably could go in by week 6, even with Derek Carr healthy, but he's not.
Yeah.
So
And I think Olave and Shaheed coming back will be good for them, but still, that team has so many holes, way more holes than weapons. And I
yeah,
think that's going to be. I don't think the Saints will do anything this year.
agreed.
Well, everyone, that about wraps it up.
Yeah.
Episode 1 of The Alliance. As for me and Noah, we're out. Peace.
Peace.